evening, Lieutenant.
Good evening, sir.
Oh, please, call me Colonel.
Sorry, good evening, Colonel.
Oh, dash it all, Lieutenant. Colonel was my father's name. You can call me Cedric.
Do I have to, sir? It doesn't seem quite right, you being a ranking officer and all.
Okay, then how about Percy?
Not really any better.
All right. What about Terence?
No.
Patrick?
No.
Sir Flopsalon?
No, I'd rather not.
Kingsley Bartholomew Grevenhurst?
Definitely not.
Doctor?
No. What?
Rosamond?
No.
Marcus?
No.
Alan?
No.
Gerald?
Please.
Pip Martin?
Could I be excused from doing that?
Oh, all right. I suppose it is procedure. I can remember when the British Army used to be a lot more fun. It was a real joyous place.
You can, sir?
Where people addressed each other with pet names like Five Thumbs McGee or Twinkle Drawers.
Are you sure you're referring to the British Army, sir?
Oh, yes. We used to have nightly dress-up like Princess Anne evenings and play tiddlywinks using the big toenails of our vanquished enemies.
Really doesn't sound very likely, sir.
And once a month, Lieutenant Brigadier Wentworth, who we used to call Pussycat, of course, used to perform a one-man performance art piece where he'd act out dreams he'd had about having it away with the Duchess of Kent. He used to play all the parts with a Welsh accent and everything. He was quite marvellous.
It's quite odd how this is the first I'm hearing of all this, sir.
Well, of course, all the good old days were hushed up once they required us to actually fight wars. I got into the army for the tickle parties and the bi-weekly bake-offs, holding a gun, wearing this damn itchy uniform, and sending ballet teenagers off to be shot at by people was definitely not my idea of a career, I can tell you. Still, I make light of it where I can. They can't stop me whistling show tunes in my private quarters or dreaming occasionally about putting on the old ostrich outfit and bobbing for pig snouts. They haven't invented an app for mind reading yet, Lieutenant, but I doubt it's very far away.
Well, they are doing wonderful things with technology these days, sir, yes.
Well, quite. I still can't believe they've changed the name of opal fruits to starbursts.
Well, that happened many years ago, Colonel.
And I still weep openly to this day about it. When Marathon changed to Snickers, I thought my old wife Margaret was going to cut a bitch.
That was Boom Go the Guns of My Desire for Glittery Belts, a 2-act mini-drama about the British Army and confectionery name changes. Next up, it's the After-Movie Diner. I wish they'd changed their name to Celebrity Come Dancing. I love that show. I remember when in the middle of the Paso Doble, Bobby Davro's trousers came completely off, and a nation rose as one with a mighty cheer. Anyway, on with the usual gumph.
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner with your host, Jon Cross.
Hello and welcome to the After Movie Diner, and this week it is my pleasure to have back into the slightly crummy booth, and I mean that it is covered in crumbs, not that it is crummy, it is very nice, it's just slightly covered in crumbs. Anyway, welcome back to the booth, the wonderful and erstwhile co-host Jim Wallace.
Hello.
Absolutely splendid to have you for this, the third episode of the Sleazy Spader Springtime 2, the Sleazening. Cue little comedy jaunty ditty.
Oh, it's Sleazy Spader Springtime. Welcome to the show. Oh, it's a Sleazy Spader Springtime. I want you all to know that if you please, there's James Spader Sleaze and it's got nowhere else to go. So loosen all your blouses, give your nose a damn good blow. 'Cause now we're coming clean, oh yeah. It's 2017, Sleazy Spader Springtime Show. Oh yeah, it is 2017, Sleazy Spader Springtime we're back from the comedy. I always went comedy slaunty jitty.
It is slaunty.
It's a slaunty jitty.
If I had to make up a word to describe your music, it would be
slaunty jitty.
Slaunty.
Yeah, as opposed to jaunty ditty.
Kind of slithery but jaunty.
Yeah. Yes.
It jauntily slithers.
It does. So we've passed the halfway mark of Sleazy Spader Springtime. We've passed it.
Thank God.
We've wafted through it, through the gaseous and
If we're working our way through Spader, are we at like the kidney?
Yeah, we're probably in the spleen right now.
Yeah, yes.
We're probably in Spader spleen right now. Spader spleen.
Yeah.
Splay out the Spaders. Splay out Spader's spleen. So we have got some questions and comments. Shall we jump right over to those right now
Let's crack on while I think about what I'm going to eat.
All right, great. Let's do that then. By the way, ladies and germs, we are in Kellogg's Diner in Williamsburg, Brooklyn, a regular haunt of ours when we watch a movie on DVD at my house, as we did this week.
Yes. Because we never watch films around at my house.
I've offered several times.
Oh yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yes.
We just don't want you coming around.
Yeah, you just don't want me coming around.
I was getting all ready to be like righteously indignant about the fact I keep being dragged out to Brooklyn, but you did remind me that is my choice.
I'm
turning out my indignant from righteous to unrighteous.
Yeah, I've called
non-righteous?
you out. Non-righteous?
What's the opposite of righteous?
I know, you.
Cynical? I'm the opposite of righteous.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so Andy Lunn. Well, first of all, I think we need to go back a bit.
We haven't even started yet.
Hang on. We have to go back in time, because Andy, bless him, Andy the Lunster, we'll call him from now on. He's been.
How do you feel about that?
He's been quite. Yeah, how do you feel about that, Andy? Being called the Lunster. He's been quite a supporter of Sleazy Spader Springtime, and likes to say a few things. So I am just looking. Here we go. Andy, this was his comment on the White Palace episode.
Oh dear.
He says, "What a triumphant return for the Sleazy Spader Springtime. A marvellous episode.
Oh, well, that's good.
I must bring to your attention, however, something about your listener voicemail section. When you played the message and Matt Beckett started talking, I immediately thought, blimey, he sounds just like the film director Alex Cox. I was fine with this until Matt started talking about Alex Cox and how wonderful he thought him and his work was. He then encouraged you to watch more of Mr. Cox's work. Conclusion, Matt Beckett is Alex fucking Cox." So that was his comment on the White Palace episode. And then earlier today, he was like, when are you guys recording again? Because I have more Spader questions. And I was like, tonight. And he was like, oh, poop, I better get on it then. So he did proverbially get on it, and he came up with quite a few comments. So,
all right.
John, by the way, says he can't wait to listen to the Bad Influence episode we put out today, and he says hopefully there's less discussion of his bladder this time.
I can't make any guarantees. It's just one of those things that when you're, and I didn't really get this across in the episode quite so well, but there's a thing where when you don't live, with people or around people anymore,
right?
You forget vast swathes of what it's like, just to hang out with them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And the things about them that I don't know. It was such a powerful memory.
I don't forget.
That whole thing about like John derailing everything.
I wouldn't forget, because I would be the tetchy one, being like, we're going to miss the thing.
He always had the same expression on his face after he
clearly doesn't want us to be talking about this either. So let's. So anyway, Andy Lunn, questions for your next foray into Spader sleaziness.
Right.
When Spader wakes of a morning, what do you think his initial thoughts are, and what do you imagine his morning routine to be? That's a great question.
Well, first of all, I don't think Spader wakes up until the afternoon.
Right, and I think his initial thought is, ugh.
I think he probably wakes up. Actually, I probably am. Yeah.
Yeah, I am as well. Yeah.
We're ready. Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah. Can I get the midnight crave?
Oh.
This one, the midnight, the meatloaf, gravy, mushrooms, and American cheese on a hero. This one, that one.
Midnight.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I'll get it on a hero.
Okay.
And a cup of Earl Grey tea.
Great tea.
And I will have the popcorn shrimp and a plate of disco fries, please.
American cheese?
No.
French fries with mozzarella.
Mozzarella cheese, that's it, yes. And the gravy. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So, I clearly it's all crazy tonight. It's all crazy. It's all crazy.
Who's the animal? I don't understand.
Well, the movie we're doing tonight is The New Kids.
Right, sorry.
And I feel like the people who have just been in here were possibly Spader and his rapscallions, and maybe they've.
We haven't answered this question.
The table. No, I know, but I'm just trying to explain. You asked the question about who were the animals, and I'm saying maybe it was them.
Well, actually, he looks just like them.
Okay, that is Fred. No. There is someone in the Kellogg's diner who looks exactly like the goon, the chubby goon with the cap in the movie.
It's kind of uncanny.
Yeah, it's kind of, that's kind
to the point where like an expression of terror genuinely did flash across your face when you looked up.
Yeah, in case the new kids are real.
This is all a dream.
Yeah. Well, it probably is.
Your life has been one long dream building up to this climax in this diner.
Which there's something about my psyche, because that can't be good. So anyway...
Who would invent me? Only a diseased mind.
Only a diseased mind would invent the spindly, spindly annoyance that is Jim Wallace. And I say that with love.
Or what you imagine love to be.
So
this construct of your diseased mind.
So I imagine James Spader probably wakes up in a pool of his own fluids at around 4 in the afternoon, having had probably a torrent of wet dreams that he can't possibly explain, but he did enjoy quite successfully.
I think there's a J.G. Ballard short story, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a J.G. Ballard short story that, and I can't remember why.
Oh, look at you getting all
No. I didn't have to say that, but anyway, there's a short story. It's a science fiction short story I read years ago.
Yeah.
And I can't remember why.
Yeah.
But there's a thing in it where there's lots of empty swimming pools filled with sunglasses.
Right.
Right. Now I think that James Spader wakes up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. In a swimming pool full of sunglasses, full of like his old broken, sunglasses, and that's where he sleeps. I don't know why he sleeps there, but that's where he sleeps.
But he has had a torrent of wet dreams. There is like fluid around.
Yeah, they're like sticky sunglasses.
Yeah.
Like growing crusty in the sun.
That's a particularly grotesque image. And I think he wakes up with his first thought, which is he
reaches over and tries on different of his sticky sunglasses.
No, but I think
he's digging his hand into...
His first word of any given day, I think, is flesh. I think his first word is flesh. I think his thought is flesh. And he doesn't know if it's I need to eat flesh, if I need to lick flesh, or if I need to touch flesh. But I think that his first thought and possibly first word
I think you're right, but I think you're wrong about what he's saying. I think Spader goes through personal assistants at a rate of knots, right? He definitely has a personal assistant, right? Let's just stop for a minute and think about what on earth it must be like to be James Spader's personal assistant, because somebody out there in America has that job. But I think in order to save himself the time and the trouble of having to remember the name of his personal assistant that can't last longer than a week at best. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Just
before quitting in despair, disgust, or suicide. Right. And he decides to call each and every one of them Flash. That's what they're called. So when he wakes up in a swimming pool full of sunglasses and reaches in and puts on the least sticky, crusty pair, and his first word is flesh, he's really calling for his personal assistant.
No, I understand what you're saying, but I like more the idea that Spader's general thought process is flesh. He doesn't quite understand whether he needs to consume it and or be close to it and or touch it in some
He needs
perverse
to do
way.
everything with it.
But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So it's just a general, almost like a David Cronenbergian type
This
way.
is why he sleeps on sunglasses, okay? He has to sleep on sunglasses because he has to sleep on like artificial man-made material,
Right.
because he doesn't want to waste.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to waste any of his like his sensory whatever.
His thoughts and his nerve endings.
While he's asleep,
Right.
on like flesh,
Right.
Like every day,
Yeah.
he wakes up in the swimming pool for soccer. He wants like the first touch of flesh to be like. You know what I mean? Like,
But
it's
he
the first
definitely
organic
has
material.
He definitely has an assistant who has to have.
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Can I get some milk? Thank you.
They should put the hot water on there.
Yeah, no, it's great. I like that they do that here.
So what was I saying? Oh yeah, I think he has an assistant, but I think the
The
assistant.
assistant is called Flash.
No, the assistant's not called Flash. The assistant is called Lord Moist.
No, that's what your personal assistant would
Lord
be
Moist.
called. No, your personal assistant would be called that. He's not a Monty Python character from the 70s.
Okay, not Lord Moist.
He's not Stephen Fry. Stephen Fry's personal assistant, thank you, is called Lord Moist.
Okay, so it's personal.
James Spader's personal assistant
It's
is not
called Thigh.
All right, you can have fine.
It's called Thigh.
Fine. I disagree in the strongest possible terms.
They can't be called Flesh.
Why not?
Because that's his
Okay,
overriding.
because he wants his personal assistant and he wants Flash. It saves him time.
Okay.
He's only got time to say one word.
Okay, and that word is
Because
Flesh.
he can only say one word before he's had like a Bloody Mary, which
Right,
is how he
okay.
cooks off every day.
So Flesh
With
is
like there's maybe the rotten tomatoes.
okay. So Flesh is the word that he says, and So let's end this question very soon. But what are the three things
Yeah.
that the assistant must bring him every morning?
A Bloody Mary made with like not rotten but like green tomatoes. Yes, like super like not quite ripe tomatoes.
And possibly some blood, like possibly some
So
actual
blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah, that's the first thing you drink.
I think he probably has like one of those large workout balls, but instead of being like that ribbed plastic, it's probably it's covered in either like felt or velvet, and he sits atop the sunglasses and strokes it. Like it's his first tactile pleasure of the day is to stroke like a velvet
No,
ball.
he would want Flash. That's why he wakes up calling for Flash.
No, because that's the third thing that the assistant brings.
If the
The
ball
third
was
thing
coated with like actual Flash.
a flesh ball.
But see, he drinks the Bloody Mary, and then I think he eats a bowl of cereal, or at least.
No, it's not cereal.
No,
He
you've got to let me
eats-
finish. You've got to let me
Okay.
finish. You think it's cereal if you're coming around to see it, but actually it turns out, even though it looks like cereal in the bowl, it's actually the used toenails of porn stars from the 1990s. That he's paid a great deal of money for and had to prepare in advance to stockpile
Okay. His
a
cereal.
lifetime's worth.
Okay, so instead of a large, he has a large ball that is covered in some flesh.
Yeah.
And he has not asked what flesh, but it could possibly be human.
Yeah, he's got like a special supplier because obviously the flesh gets worn out.
No, I tell you what it is. It is a ball coated with that animal skin that was on his wall in the New Kids.
Yeah, okay, I can believe that.
And he strokes it while he eats the toenails of porn stars from the 90s.
Yeah, fair enough.
Okay, so that was question one. I think we're killing this. Spader has many a collaboration in movies. Keanu Reeves, Rob Lowe, Nicholson, etc. He even managed to out-shat Shatner. Who, if anyone, do you think could out-spade Spader?
What, in terms of sleaziness?
Yeah.
That's a hard one.
Did he out-shat Shatner? Like, is Shatner less sleazy than Spader? Like, is Spader more sleazy than Shatner?
Well, Shatner's just a house brick with a wig.
He's
Is
not.
what he is now.
No, Shatner is
He's
like a
shaped
large...
exactly like a house brick.
No, but he's also like a big, red, blubbery... Like, I think the reason why him and Spader got on so well is because tactilely, he's everything Spader dreams of. He's a big sack of blubbery flesh that's red and engorged, like constantly red and engorged.
It's so weird
flesh.
that like he's grown too big for his eyes. Shatner.
Yeah.
Like, his whole head's expanded,
But okay.
his eyes have stayed the same.
But who could out-sleaze Spader?
Brad Dourif?
No. No. Jeremy Irons?
Irons is an interesting call.
Right? Jeremy Irons. Because he's pretty lascivious in kind of everything.
I feel like Spader would out Spader Irons though.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's a good call though. I'd have to give that more thought, I think.
Okay, so my whole thing about Spader being sleazy is that even in movies where there is no requirement for there to be a love scene,
Yeah, see, and Irons doesn't have
he
that.
well, I don't know. Irons in the 80s and 90s did quite a few, like...
Yeah, but even now, but it's not even like, I understand what you're saying about like that Spader finds a way, right?
Right.
But there's
Who
also,
else
even
finds
when
a
he
way?
doesn't,
Who else finds a way? Like, who else, when you're watching a movie and you're like, well, there's going to be knobbing in this movie
I know,
because it's...
Edward Hardwicke from the Jeremy Bratt Sherlock Holmes, he's always finding a way to say really horribly sleazy things about the women that come into the...
You're right.
What a delightful young lady.
Yeah.
I shall have to marry her, even though she's 20 and I'm 95.
You're right. Watson.
Hardwicke.
Hardwicke is Watson.
Hardwicke is Watson.
And
but
Jeff, we're done.
out-sleaze
We've done it.
Spader.
Absolutely. Okay. I love this question. If Spader were to release a product like Newman with his dressing or Lynch with his coffee, what would the product be? And more importantly, how would Spader promote it?
Anal beads in the shape of his head.
I don't know. I don't see.
Obvious?
I think it would have to be. I honestly think it would have to be an innocuous item that Spader has done something like despicable with.
Suntan oil.
Yeah, or something like that. Like, oh wait a minute, could Roger Moore out-sleaze James Spader?
No, definitely not.
Really?
Yeah.
Even Moore's heyday.
No, even in Moore's heyday, he was just a bit silly. You know what I mean? He was wonderful.
You're not into the Moore as much as I am.
No, I love. He's my favourite Bond. I have realised over the years that I don't know whether he's the best Bond or not, because I've read a few of the books now, and I don't know. Like, the best Bond is just a different character. Like, Connery's the most iconic, but in terms of whose movies would I like to watch the most, it would be Moore every fucking time. I would rather watch Moonraker than any Sean Connery Bond film.
I have a whole newfound respect for you. I kind of want to kiss you.
That's how I feel about Moore. But he's not sleazy. He's the opposite of sleazy. He would like.
He's too obvious.
He gives him a kiss, and then you make him a cup of tea.
He's too obvious.
Yeah.
I think. All right, not more. No, but okay. But what was the question we were trying to do? Totally.
Spader's product.
Spader's
It's
product.
some kind of suntan lotion.
No, I think it needs to be like a product where you're like, what? Like it needs to be.
Maybe it'd be something like he opens up a dairy.
Yeah.
Because he wants people to, because he doesn't want to make money, right? But he wants, like, what he does. Okay, this is what he does. Okay. He only supplies dairy products. Okay.
Right.
To to garages and stores that are literally in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Right. In other words, there's no other choice.
Right.
And the deal he makes with them, he cuts them a deal. Okay. Where they get like a really good price, but he's the only dairy products they're allowed to stock, and only because he wants to have a picture of his face on the bottle, all right? And on the bottle is written Spader's milk, okay? And he has a little camera, and he likes to watch people's faces while they debate about whether or not they've got any choice but to buy this product that is probably milk, right? But they can't absolutely be sure.
is probably milk. It's my favourite.
It could be called Spader's milk. It's probably milk.
And that's how he would promote it.
Yeah, that's the promotion.
The promotion was...
Yeah, but there'd be like a cardboard cutout of Spader next to the fridge with like his hands up going, it's probably milk. It's probably fine.
Now, would it get so perverse?
Spader's yogurt, Spader's cream.
Okay.
There'll be no end to it.
I have the advert.
Okay. Spader's cheese.
No.
Would anybody want to eat Spader's cheese?
It's
probably cheese.
So here's the advert.
Okay.
Close up
Right.
on a bucket pail with milk going into it. Right. Slow pan out.
Right.
Udders.
Right.
Udders, and there's milk coming out of the udders.
Right.
More gradual pull out to find out that Spader is wearing the udders. Like they are some sort of teat extensions.
Yeah.
Like very kind of...
Bit of CGI. He'd throw some money
No,
at the
it's not
advert.
CGI. It's rubber. It's like a Cronenberg style effect.
Oh, okay, all right.
So it's like a rubbery teat. It's
like a wound.
And he's wearing he's wearing multiple of them.
Right.
And there's like Hervé Villachez, the small guy from A Man with a Golden Gun, is milking him into multiple pails, and it just turns out. And as it does, initially Spader's face is down towards the bucket, and as the camera pulls out, he just like moves his face up to look at the camera, and just does a very slow smile, and underneath it just says Spader's milk.
Yeah.
It's probably milk.
No, I wouldn't have this probably milk guy. You just have to have the Spader's milk.
Oh yeah, just Spader's milk.
Because what he's doing there is he's sowing doubt in their minds. It's a huge national campaign, right? So that when people do end up in the service station on the highway in the middle of nowhere, right? They remember the advert and they go.
The only trouble is who in the middle of nowhere wants milk?
No, but I'm saying it's like, okay, sorry, so not necessarily like a highway, but no, it could be on a highway, or it could be like it's a town and it's only got one store. You know, like people need milk.
And he could expand it to Spader's juice.
That could be something for the future.
It's probably juice.
But I like the milk thing because the milk is like, it's thick, and also like milk could be like anything. Do you know what I mean?
Does he have different levels of milk? Like, is there like creamy, even more creamy, and then objectionally creamy, like an objectionable...
Like extra creamy, Spader's extra creamy.
No, but it's just called objectionably creamy. So it's so creamy, it's objectionable as milk.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. So Andy, I think when you ask us questions of that caliber, you get answers of that caliber, and we waste 24 minutes of the podcast.
So quick, let's talk about the movie. Should people watch it?
Yes. I'm going to say yes. If you are a fan of either the Brat Pack, 80s thrillers, 80s horrors, or just in general mad 80s.
But it's a peculiar movie. It's not really a thriller or a horror.
It's all over the place.
It's a peculiar movie.
It is a peculiar movie.
It's not a bad movie, and it is quite...
It's essentially, by the way, Roadhouse with teenagers. In the sense
I guess
that
it is a little bit.
for like no reason whatsoever, some teenagers start trouble at school, and then like it's all-out war for no reason.
Yeah, I guess it probably is that. So should I do? Okay, my thing is.
But yeah, I think people.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, me, it's a strong yes.
If you were at a James Spader festival,
right,
and
well, I think we have. Okay, I think I have to qualify that. I'm not. Well, you are watching it for Spader, but at the same time, it's not just Spader that makes it a watchable movie. Although,
I mean, he's not very good at it. In fact, I would say this, right, and this is a genuine compliment to the Spades. This is the first movie that we've ever covered in Sleazy Spader Springtime where I've thought he's not very good at this. It's not his fault. I think he's
Why is that a
miscast.
compliment?
Well, because everything else he's done has been really good. I mean, we've seen some shash,
Right.
but he's always very watchable.
But what's incredible about
He
this...
makes the shash watchable, but this one...
No, but do you
doesn't.
want to know what the resounding feeling is throughout all of Sleazy Spader Springtime 2, the Sleazening so far?
What's that?
Is that he has been miscast in each one.
Yes,
in
he
White
has.
Palace, he is
Yes.
the most waspy person, yet he's cast as a Jew.
Yeah.
In the one last week, he's meant to turn Bad Influence. He's meant to turn into like an action hero kind of thing, and he just isn't that.
No.
He did all right at the Wimpy, but again, I don't like to see him emasculated, so I don't really like him Wimpy, and I don't really like him as a hero either.
No.
So he's kind of miscast in Bad Influence. Oh, that's perfect.
Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, great. Perfect.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Lovely, thanks.
Wow. She is just in one hell of a mood tonight. I'm saying watch it. I think what you were about to say is if you're at a Spader festival and you can only watch like 2 movies out of all the Spader films that are playing, this would not be one of them. Is that what you were going to say?
No, actually I was going to say, if you're at a Spader festival, you should probably stay in your seats for this one.
Well,
Whereas I would have you leave for White Palace. You
well,
know what I mean?
yeah, I know what you mean. I think this is where you and I are going to differ. I enjoy it because those kind of 80s cross-genre sort of Brat Pack, but also sort of action, thriller, horror type movies, which are all over the place, I kind of love.
Okay. No, that's totally fair.
And I kind of love it in a sort of, I'm aware of all their failings, and I'm aware that they're a bit ludicrous, but I kind of adore them.
And that's right. I have an irrational love for weirdly specific genres as well.
Right.
So I totally get it. And I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying
I know.
I didn't really think it was all that good.
Okay. But yeah, go ahead with your plot summary and then let's delve in, because I feel like there is a lot to delve in.
Right, so plot summary, here we go. Jesus.
Well, it's not difficult.
Alright. I'll make it fast then. Children of military hero
Tom Atkins.
lose their dad when they are not of age, presumably 16 or 17. They're going to live with their uncle in Florida, who is I don't know anything about him except that he played the bad guy in Sneakers. That's all I know.
What?
One of the henchmen in Sneakers.
The thing I got about Uncle Charlie, which is his name in this, is that he's sort of a Del Boy, like a bit of a wheeler dealer, a bit of like a used car salesman over the hill kind of chap, and that he's been trying lots of schemes throughout his life. And his latest scheme is they've sunk all their money, what money they have, into a gas station, general store, stroke carnival, stroke Santa's
They bought a
playground,
business at
stroke petting zoo.
It's a general store / petrol station / petting zoo / winter theme park.
Right.
I didn't get that he was a Del Boy. I got that he was a
No, because he said to Aunt May or whatever her name was, it Aunt May?
Faye.
Aunt Faye at one point, he was like, oh, this is going to be the thing that like, makes us money, and she was like...
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying...
She was a weird character. I like to think that this entire movie was actually like all about Aunt Faye's psychosis, but anyway, carry on.
So, well, that's basically it. They go to live with the uncle down in Florida. At their new school, they attract the attention of 5 sort of hillbillies, the sort of people that would chase Jean-Claude Van Damme through a wood if he, beat them up in a bar or whatever. Those kind of people, except they're teenagers. And they sort of torment the kids for a while. The kids kind of don't take any shit and they fight back, which of course makes it all worse. It's sort of like a cautionary tale for standing up to bullies, basically, is what it is. And it all culminates in a climax of death and mayhem. I did not like it. There was a lot about it that I did kind of enjoy. I'm just not sure I can recommend anybody to watch it.
It's definitely one of those where you have to completely and utterly turn off all logic. Because the main problem with the film, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm coming at it from someone who loved it,
Right.
again with the caveat that I love kind of these kind of things sometimes. The main problem with the film is that he's dating the main guy, the brother and sister. The brother guy.
Sorry, we should just quickly say that Spader plays the leader of the hillbilly, the psychopathic hillbillies.
He's a drug dealer, isn't he?
Yeah.
The funny thing is
Like, he's the one to die because he's a violent fiend.
Spader is a drug dealer who also has some sort of like hillbilly farm setup where he has a mad pit bull that they feed chicken blood to. Like, it's all a bit weird. And then he wears like flouncy homoerotic cowboy shirts throughout the whole thing. Like, it's very odd. For example, none of the people who are following Spader around in reality would follow Spader around. Spader would be the one who would get beaten up for wearing ludicrously gay cowboy boots.
He is. So here's my question.
But hang on, let me just. Sorry,
I was going to ask you.
In 1 second. My main point about the whole movie is this: while I can buy that Uncle Charlie and Aunt Faye are always not around when this stuff is going down, the thing I don't buy is that at no point in the school are there any teachers, a headmaster, a security guard, nothing. At no point when they are being faced down by anyone does this guy, the brother, call the father of his girlfriend, who is the fucking sheriff of the town. And when a policeman does come over to them and clearly like catches them scratching up the classic 1960s car that Uncle Charlie let them drive into town, a foolish decision on Uncle Charlie's part, the policeman just like, well, nothing we can do, governor, and shuffles off. And then later when like what happened? Oh, later when what happens when he says, "Do you want to file a report?" Is it when he's beaten up? When is
no? That's the car thing. So do you want to file a report? He says no.
Yeah, he says no to filing a report, and instead goes round and shoves a knife in Spader's face, which is only going to exacerbate things. So you have to kind of. And in the last sequence, in the showdown, Uncle Charlie there, but Aunt Faye's just nowhere to be found. Like, no idea where she is whatsoever. No, they do call the police apparently, but the police never show up. So like, that's the bit for me where I kind of get, like I find it difficult to kind of remove that logic from my brain while I'm watching the movie. It's the only thing that kind of frustrated me. To put it in context very quickly, and then I'll shut up. This was made by the guys who made Friday the 13th, Part 1. And one of the things Friday the 13th sort of had as its mantra is we have to get kids in a place where there is no adult supervision. So like, even though there was an adult running the camp in Friday the 13th, like, he goes off to town to get something and is killed before he comes back, you know what I mean? And the camp is enough outside of this tiny one-horse town that, like, no one's going to come find him. This is less successful with that, because this is a town which has, you know, stores and a school and a gas station and everything else. Like, you just wouldn't be able to run riot like this in a town. So this is less successful with a how do we get kids in jeopardy without having adults around. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, that's some of the problems with one of the best things about those Final Destination movies that are weirdly fun is that the fact that you recognise what's going to happen, and sometimes they play with that, and sometimes they make it much grimmer than you thought it was going to be. And that whole thing, that whole playing along thing, is what makes it such a fun watch. And this one, everything that happens is set up, you know, but not in a well, what's going to happen with this kind of a thing. It's just like, oh, I've named I've named the rabbit. No, let's take the brand new car. Just like obvious, like this doesn't exist for anything except there's going to be some kind of emotional kick later.
Right.
And the thing is that what this movie has more than anything, it's why it's not really a horror movie. It's more about like emotional, like punches up the side of the head. You know what I mean? Like it's quite nasty, and it properly gets you to like you're a lot more invested in these characters than you ever are in any characters in Friday the 13th. Like, oh, I've got a new boyfriend, I'm really happy. Oh no, I'm dead.
Right.
Oh, I really fancy her, she's great. Oh no, now I'm dead. And that's it, right? Whereas these two are like, they've got a backstory, they've got a tragic history, they've got spunk and moxie.
They've got an opening montage with Tom Atkins, who was like their general soldier father. And the opening montage, like this could be a movie, the way this movie starts, it could be a movie where my army father dies and his one last wish was that I win the marathon. And then at the end of the movie, like, they win the marathon or whatever it is. Like, it's set up with this montage of them, kicking and punching.
The whole film does the same thing.
Bags and running and jumping over things.
It has like montages of them, like it takes them to a place where they're really happy and they're settled, and then something really horrible happens, and they either like take revenge or get back on their feet or whatever, and then there's another montage, and then something else horrible happens to them, right? Until it like builds up to the climax. So it's like an experiment. In the Friday the 13th was a successful experiment in. Like you say, send kids to a camp, get them bumped off one by one. Bob's your uncle. We could do this all fucking year, mate, and they do.
Right.
And this one is like, I think the same thing, because it's not just about like the setup of the camp and of like the of the town and all the rest of it. It's like, is it satisfying to be able to watch a movie where you actually give two people characters, and then essentially you spend the whole movie torturing them? You build them up and you make them care about them. You think, yeah, they've come through it, good on them. And then you stick it to them again. You just keep sticking it to them until the end of the movie.
Right.
Where they're so like freaking traumatized by what's happened to them, they don't even know to get out. When the ending of the movie happened, and Uncle Charlie says, "Do you want to stay? Your dad's friend that you really wanted to go to is called up and he wants you to come and live with them." I think my reaction is supposed to be, oh no, stay with Uncle Charlie and the fairground. But all I could really think, right?
I said that.
All I could say at the end of that movie was, for God's sake, get out. Like, leave, run, fly to the military block.
Right.
Get out of this town.
Right, but it's...
What's keeping you here? Eric Stoltz? Do me a favour.
Eric Stoltz and Big Tits McGee.
I don't think it works under those specific circumstances, i.e. attempting to establish a kind of 80s horror film.
What I don't want to do, though, is, like, overanalyze the new kids. It would be much nicer, like, talk about some of the fun stuff that happens in the movie, rather than, like, overanalyze it.
Quite.
It just doesn't hold up to analysis. Like, you're right. Everything you're saying.
That wasn't an
right.
analysis. That was an observation about what they were trying to do with the movie.
Right, but and you're right. It doesn't hold up to that at all. I completely hold my hand up to it, and I agree with you on that one. And I think we're talking about kind of the same thing, because there's definitely a suspension of logic and belief at the beginning of the movie that you either buy into or you don't. But if you don't, it's going to be a little bit of a bumpy ride, because a lot of what happens in the movie is utterly nonsensical.
But I'm never bothered by it. So, like, with a movie like this, I don't really care that much about logic. As in, like what you're saying about there being no teachers around, because it's like, you can always, with a movie like this, you can always come up with explanations. You can always come up with, well, the teacher stepped out for a fag, or, the police can't do anything if nobody actually saw them scratch the car, whatever, stuff like that. For me, it's like, if the purpose of it is to entertain you with this movie, which is what presumably they're trying to do, the entertainment, as far as they're concerned, comes from, in Friday the 13th, the entertainment comes from stalking and killing, like a nutcase, stalking and killing, like basically young, good-looking, cocky people, right? And who doesn't feel a slight thrill at the thought of basically the people that made your lives a mystery when you were a kid getting bumped off by a nutter in a mask, right?
Right.
There's just something deeply enjoyable about that, right? It's almost a wish fulfillment thing. Or they're like, well, I guess, the young and beautiful don't have it, don't always have it easy because, look, he's got a nice ticket at the back of his head. And this one is an experiment in, is it entertaining to, to make torture, essentially, on screen, they're not, the most interesting characters ever committed to celluloid, but they have, some depth, right? I felt myself caring about them while the movie was going on. Right. So all the things they were doing to them was, really horrible.
Yeah.
And I didn't really like Spader in it. I'm trying to think if he was sleazy or just nasty.
Okay. So when we first see him,
right,
he is wearing a orangey maroon silk shirt open down to the navel.
Yeah, I guess he is kind of.
He is insanely sleazy in this film.
No, you're right.
He's insanely sleazy in this film. And the next time we see him, he's literally wearing a silk flowery cowboy shirt.
You're right. What? Presumably.
He's wearing blouses throughout the whole movie.
Presumably, this is all
Tammy Wynette. It looks like he raided Tammy Wynette's closet, is what it looks like.
The After Movie Diner with Jon Cross will return right after this.
Hi, I'm Mark James from the popular Poop Culture Podcast. I'm here today to talk to you about a serious matter millions of Americans struggle with each and every day. Do you suffer from a moderate to severe disinterest in life? Have you or a loved one been diagnosed with social perplexia, a general knowledge deficiency? Then Poop Culture, with all the snatch 'em in, may be right for you. The Poop Culture Podcast gives you your minimum daily required allowance of popular culture, comedy, and general tomfoolery. Please operate heavy machinery while listening to Poop Culture. If you achieve an erection lasting more than 4 hours, then good for you. Side effects may include, but are not limited to, nausea, diarrhea, general sense of euphoria, hallucinations, side and stomach cramps, social gaping, anal leakage, and dry mouth. Listen to the Poop Culture Podcast and gain the confidence you need to relate to people once again. No need to ask your doctor because Poop Culture is right for you.
Poop culture, yeah, it's a poop culture.
Hey, this is Travesty.
I'm Awkward Colin.
And I'm Geekcast Joe.
And we're from
This Freaking Show.
The weekly podcast with a little bit of something and a whole lot of nothing. Our show, we talk about topics such as sports, technology, the random bullshit that no one really cares about, and of course, friendship.
I thought you said things people didn't care about.
Oh yeah, I guess friendship falls into that.
Anyway, you can find us at thisfreakinshow.com or on iTunes by searching This Freakin' Show.
Man, my balls itch.
You're listening to the sweet sounds of the After Movie Diner. Support us at patreon.com/After Movie Diner. Or I'll punch you in the teats. Rate and review us on iTunes, Earthling.
I don't understand. Okay, but my question to you earlier was going to be this, right? This is the movie you're making, right? You're making a movie where a bunch of hillbillies...
Yeah.
Because this is presumably, how they sold it. A bunch of, hillbilly teenagers, torture two, clean-cut, all-American kids.
Right.
That's the movie, right? And if we could get away with that in the shed for an hour and a half, that's what we do. But we need plot, so here's plot. But basically, that's it. So why, when they go, who are we going to cast as the leader of the hillbilly, good-for-nothing, violent psychopath? I know. James Spader in a flowery shirt.
Yeah.
Would not be my first thought.
No.
So why?
I don't know. I really don't know.
What had he done before this that made them think that this was a goer?
I'm going to have a look right now.
Because, right, he's not the main part, isn't it? Okay.
I didn't hear any of that. Because not only are you over there, but it was through a mouthful of meatloaf.
No. He's got the main part, so it's not as if he's been dropped in for name value, is it? I mean, Stoltz looks absurdly young. How old Stoltz?
Stoltzy! I don't know. So before this, the thing that people will actually know Spader from, and this is why. This is why he's in this movie. He did 2 movies, one called A Killer in the Family, where he played the son of Robert Mitchum, believe it or not, in like a town where, like, I think stuff goes a bit amiss, like Mitchum comes out of prison, a changed man, and stuff goes a bit amiss, I think. And then the movie he does directly before this is called Tough Turf, where he is basically the new kid who shows up at school. He's not the new kid, I don't think, but he's like friends with Robert Downey. No, he is the new kid. He shows up at school, the new kid. Robert Downey Jr. is his pal, and like he gets into a fight with like a gang, essentially, is the movie.
So they're thinking, oh, he's been in a movie about gangs at school. This is sort of a movie about gangs at school, so we cast him. Even though...
Can he do a southern accent?
No, he can't. He breaks that accent so many... He is Boston in there sometimes, and sometimes his plane gives up.
What's amazing is him and Stoltz are in no way like southern hicks, in no way, and yet they've cast him and Stoltz as like southerners. Lori Loughlin at least gets to play like her own accent. Lori Loughlin, by the way, a little bit of trivia for you. Most people will know her from Full House, the sitcom. Okay. But what I know her from is a movie, a TV movie from the 90s called In the Line of Fire. It was a whole series called In the Line of Fire.
Tell him who Lori Loughlin plays.
Lori Loughlin plays the lead girl, the sister of the 2 kids.
Right.
And so Lori Loughlin was in a TV movie that was part of a series, kind of like a Lifetime movie type thing, that was called In the Line of Fire, Blaze of Glory.
Oh yeah.
So Lori Loughlin was in a movie called In the Line of Fire, Blaze of Glory.
Was she?
Yes, with Bruce Campbell.
With Bruce Campbell?
Yes. And Bradley Whitford. And Bruce Campbell and Lori Loughlin play yuppie bank robbers who rob banks wearing Cubs baseball caps and fake beards. And Bradley Whitford's dad in the movie, Bradley Whitford is the detective, his dad, who used to be on the force and gives him like a lot of his, like detectively advice, is the guy who played General What's-His-Face, who goes off to Arizona at the beginning of this movie.
General What's-His-Face, who goes off to Arizona? Who's General What's-His-Face?
You know, at the funeral of the parents, two people come up to them. Uncle Charlie comes up dressed like a used car salesman. So the second person who comes up to them is that guy who's in military duds.
Also, okay, if you want to have a more fun conversation, then I'm not sure. Did you know that with one actor who's in this film was in a film with another film with an actor who was also in this film?
12 years later.
What are the odds? What did you want to talk about in this film that you thought would be fun to talk about?
The shirts. His
we
hair,
talked about the shirts.
His pants in that scene where he's like dragged up against the closet. The preponderance of like knob shots when the guy was like bouncing around on the.
That was very.
That
is okay. Do you think the
crash mat?
Do you think the knob shot was deliberate or just a product of 80s shorts?
Both.
So they're happy to get women.
The fact that during the fight scene he's peed on.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then the whole last third act, which is just filled with a barrage of madness. I mean, at a certain point in this movie, for no good reason that I can really figure out, all the hoodlums are armed with shotguns. They're in the fairground, and the brother and sister, mainly the brother, end up killing them all in like really grotesque ways. And this is fine because guns, Like, why is this fine? Like, he decapitates one with a roller coaster. He electrocutes another one. He breaks another dude's neck.
They're all kind of accidental, aren't they? Kind of. The guy gets his head cut off when in the middle of a fight.
No, he was trying to do to him. He was trying to have his head
No, he wasn't, because he wasn't. That's why I'm saying that it was an accident, because he pushed him and the guy fell and hit his head, and then the thing ran over it, and the kid looked shocked. Like, whether he was like covering up his own psychopathy or not, I don't know, but certain director or whatever, there was a direction there for him to look shocked. And the thing of him he fell up against it. When he fell up against the electric through a dodge, I go, well, what are the odds of that exactly? And also, why doesn't somebody shut this fairground down?
He sprayed it down with water. He purposely did that.
Okay, fair enough. I didn't see that. Okay, so that was kind of deliberate.
He got the hose. He purposely locked the dude in the fucking...
Yeah, but he would have to be like, well, this guy's going to have to be a fucking idiot. It's not difficult to hold on to metal. If it's the Ferris wheelie thing where the bench moves or whatever in accordance to how the wheel moves, and he locks it so he ends up upside down. But instead of going, I'll just adjust my body position on this moving metal so that I don't fall, he just sits and goes, help, he's locked the thing, and then falls out. I mean, that's Darwinism in action, what happens to that guy. And Spader tries to burn him alive with a petrol pump full of fire, and all the guy does is just like turn it back on him and melts his face. Like, I feel like I know what you're saying, but most of it was designed as like slasher.
No, what I'm saying is that at a certain point in the movie.
Well, that's why I'm saying that maybe
just like in Roadhouse,
he's not very sleazy, is he? He's miscast.
Okay,
his accent's terrible.
At a certain point, he puts his hand in like a bowl of animal blood and like pulls down her pants and like rubs her thighs. Now, okay, I know that.
Yeah, but it's not that kind of.
And he wears wear a lot of shirt.
But so much of it seems to me like Spader's sleaze, right? It's like a twinkle in his eye.
Yeah, which he also had in this movie.
I don't think he had a twinkle. He was too evil for there to be a twinkle.
I don't know. I think he brought a lot of slime to the role.
Slime, yes. But I'm just saying, slime without a twinkle is just slime. There comes a point. Because that's what I was going to ask you, right? What, to you, we talk a lot about Spader's sleaze, right?
Right.
But what is sleaze to you? Like, what is it about Spader that just says the word sleaze? I mean, yes, it's, he oozes like an unnatural need for pleasure.
So here it is. At the beginning of the movie, right, him and his actual hillbilly friend are like making bets,
right,
on who's going to end up with Lori Loughlin, physically, right. The hillbilly guy, his second in command, Gid, right? Gideon, right? Gid.
Yeah.
Is just being like a bloke about it, like a disgusting, sweaty hillbilly bloke about it. He's just being disgustingly sexist and obvious about it, right? But the way Spader is talking about it, especially while he's firing a gun with like one eye open, and wearing that shirt, there is something like sickening to the core about it. And I don't mean sickening about like, he's just being a horrible, like, rapey bloke. There's like something unnerving about it, because you know that if Spader did win the bet, it wouldn't just be some like fumbly teenage sex in the back of a truck. It would be chickens would be killed. There would be maidens dancing with flowers in their hair. Like, it would be really weird.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's why I disagree with you. I agree with you up to the point, and then you finish with the chickens and the maidens, right? And I'm saying, yes, normal Spader, everyday Spader walking around Los Angeles is dreaming of chickens and maidens with flowers in their hair while he does despicable things to maidens, right?
Right.
No question in my mind. Right now, that's what he's thinking about.
Right.
But I'm saying in this movie, there's no.
No, I
he's
felt
not
that
thinking,
while he was.
He's thinking about killing chickens, right? And that's it, right? His imagination stops with chickens in this movie. There's no maidens, there's no flowers, there's no imagination or grace to his sleaziness. There's no joy to it. It's just,
I don't know.
It's
okay.
mean.
Okay, so
it's
let's.
mean.
All right, let me
Sleaziness
give you another example. When we finally go into his bedroom,
right?
That is let's just talk about the weird, messed up boudoir that is Spader's bedroom.
Yes.
He has in the closet something that he has stolen from the pulpit of a church because it says Sunday service, right?
Yeah.
That's key, those two words right there.
Right.
It's a wooden hymn board from
Right.
a church that says Sunday service that he's stolen and put in his closet. Behind the headboard of his bed, or maybe it's the whole headboard of his bed, it is cutouts of porn stars from the 80s and 70s, right? That was all women. Like his headboard was all.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Women, yeah, like magazine cutouts of swimwear models.
So do you think
Then,
what happened
hang on a
was-
second, opposite his bed, he has the skin of an animal, possibly a bison or something like that, stretched across his wall, across which is some form of spear and or medieval weaponry at an angle. Underneath which, given prime position, is a photograph of him in one of his many shirts with his hand on his hip in a way that can only be described as utter filth.
See,
and that is just the two walls we see
I know,
of
but
his
so here's my question. Do you think that maybe, for the purposes of, I don't know, a little bit of reality, that was actually a guerrilla night of filmmaking?
Right.
Where they actually snuck into Spader's actual house, where he stayed,
Yeah.
Tied him up, stuffed
Yeah.
a sock in his mouth, and filmed the scene without telling him they were going to do it. And that's why, because that, to me, that bedroom, the headboard,
Yeah.
That's what's the headboard and the Sunday thing and the bison skin. It's like it screams sleep,
Right.
And him rubbing animal blood on like a
Right.
woman that he's about to defile is like scream sleep.
And the
the
shirts.
flowery shirt,
The shirts.
the flowery cowboy boots,
The cowboy boots.
You know, the floppy hair, the weird glasses. It all says this guy needs to be given a whole movie.
Right.
Right. I need to spend the whole movie seeing what this guy, right, gets up to.
Yeah.
But what he gets up to, and this is my point,
It's not
is
very-
mostly just kind of like unimaginative cruelty.
Right.
And there's no joy in it. And I feel that any guy that would rip off a Sunday service thing and pin it up in his room would take that much time to cut out all the porn stars and put them on his,
Yeah.
like that guy has more imagination than the
Right.
character in the movie.
Right.
And that's why it's disappointing.
Well, look, Spader
There's
can
more
only.
imagination in his shirts than in his actions. And that should never be with Spader.
Spader can only.
Spader should not be out-sleazed by his own shirts. That's my problem with the movie.
Spader can only work with what he's given. By the way,
I agree.
This was a script by Jake Gyllenhaal and Maggie Gyllenhaal's father.
Wow.
There's the other connection. What is one of Spader's most famous roles?
Yeah.
Secretary with
Maggie
Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
Oh my! There is like a conspiracy of like Spader. Like, do you suppose that when Spader was in the 80s?
No, I don't want
Maggie
to think about
Gyllenhaal
this.
was like
I don't
a
want to think
little
about
girl?
this. I don't want to think about what Spader thought when the writer of the film brought his daughter onto set. He went, "One day I'll make a film with you."
It's disturbing when you think about it now, though, right?
It is. It's very disturbing.
I would love another glass of water if possible, please.
I think Spader is better than this. That's
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay. Here's one more thing. There is a precursor to a scene. There is a scene, like before we see him show up in his van with his purple cowboy shirt, there is a scene where he's standing behind a tree, looking up at her in her room in a rather lascivious, sleazy way. I think that's the last, like... Oh!
Thank you.
No, and
Good night, guys.
thank you so much, you too. Oh, and there's one other bit that adds to the sleazy nature of this character. When Lori Loughlin, the hero girl, goes into the bathroom, right? Does a bathroom, comes back out again. When the door slowly shuts, he's behind the door with his glasses on and another puffy shirt. And the door closes, and just on the sign it just says "Ladies," which is particularly sleazy. However, there are two things that go against this mounting sleaze evidence.
What's that?
Two things. First of all, the Spader we know and love would not have just stood outside the lady's door. He would have had to have peeked, number one.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. Second thing is, later on in the movie, there is a sequence which begins very sleazily, where Lori Loughlin is in the shower, and Spader's effeminate cowboy boots come out from behind the curtain and slowly walk towards the bathroom door. When he's in the bathroom, he just throws a dead rabbit in there and runs out. By the way, a totally different rabbit to the rabbit she's been carrying around.
Rabbit, yes.
Like the one she's been carrying around looks like it has been beaten with a cricket bat and puffed full of...
Can we just take a moment to imagine the scene? I'm just saying, when the props guy bought the rabbit to Sean S Cunningham, went, so it's a rabbit off the shelf. What are you doing? It's obviously a different rabbit. Well, we haven't got any other. What do you want me to do? I could go out and kill the actual rabbit if you want, Sean.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this is a dead rabbit.
And I imagine Sean probably went, just because. Okay, the other thing, we're getting sidetracked. But okay, so the other thing goes against the Spader squeeze is that real Spader would have watched her in the shower a lot longer than he does here.
Well, I don't think it's Spader. It's not Spader.
It is.
No, because what's his face?
No, because he pulls back the curtain and you see it's him and he drops the rabbit.
No, you see it, you don't.
No, because it's his cowboy boots and everything.
No, I know you see the but
dude, it's definitely him.
No, I'm not even arguing. Okay, but wait. But what I'm saying is that's what I thought. I assumed it was Spader, right? But the next scene, Blokey fights.
Only because he's the guy who's around. Spader's not around at the time. He just goes over to them and starts fighting them in general.
I thought he picked on that guy. Okay.
No. So it's definitely Spader, right? Spader would have spent a lot longer. Like he would have got almost to the point where she'd stopped showering, and then he would have thrown the bunny in. Like he would have.
Spader would have thought to himself, it'd be saying the whole of the dead rabbit. It'd be a shame
not to
ruin this shower.
Yeah, not
with a dead rabbit.
Not to rub myself with the dead rabbit.
Yeah. Just to feel the rabbit's skin while I'm watching a shower.
Yeah.
You know. It's just like he wouldn't have ruined that moment.
No. But he does ruin it. So there's a couple of points against him, but I still think of the 3 movies we've watched this year so far, this is by far the sleaze.
Yes, I agree. I
agree that the bleached blonde hair, the cowboy boots and the shirt are doing most of the sleaze lifting.
Yeah.
They're doing most of the sleaze lifting. But there are...
The accent's killing him, man. The accent kills him.
The accent is strangulating his sleaze.
It doesn't... He can't do it. He can't pull it off.
But no, so the other thing I was going to say about Sean S. Cunningham is he is also behind the movie Wes Craven was Last House on the Left.
Oh, yeah.
The, like, really gruesome...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I've never seen it.
And I've got a feeling that with the Friday the 13th, because they must have been up to, like, 3 at this point, because it's 85 this comes out, so... And Friday the 13th is 80. So they must be up to like part 3, or at least prepping part 3. And even by part 3, Friday the 13th is becoming hampered massively by censorship. And also exploitation films are no longer like the horror of the day. Like exploitation films have gone like a bit underground at this point, and it's more your shiny 80s slashers are starting to like happen, and then it's only a couple more years and you get your Reanimators and your Evil Deads and you're like very kind of Evil Dead 2 rather, sorry, your highly kind of glossy special effects movies. And I think what's interesting about the new kids when you look at it in that perspective is that it is Cunningham trying to do what is essentially like fairly exploitive movie, like going back to his kind of Last House on the Left kind of days without ever getting that graphic, but like to teenagers. Like it is like a weird, it's almost an exploitation film. Especially by the time you get to the end and you're having like, you're seeing a full head like set on fire, and alright, yeah, it's a rubber dummy, you can tell, but like they're at least going, well, no, we're actually going to set his head on.
But then it's got like 80s action kind of beats with the like having the whole climax in a basically a fairground.
But that's what I'm saying. It's definitely a Roadhouse type movie. I'm just saying
I did quite enjoy watching it, right? And but the truth is, let's put cards on the table here, right? I'm watching this movie for Spader, and specifically, I want to watch this movie for Spader doing the one thing that he does better than we have decided, pretty much, that anyone else on planet Earth, which is manage to make anything that he's doing like a little bit sleazy, but in a kind of a fun, relatable way. He's like. He's spinning the world, to the viewer, to us, into a slightly, sleazier, hornier place. And who couldn't use that every now and then in their lives, right? And White Palace drove me nuts because he wasn't sleazy. He was just knocking about. What was the last one?
You're fight. I think
I'm not, but that's the point. I want to watch. Listen, I am not a snob. I am not.
No, I'm not saying that.
No, I'm just but I am not. I am here for one thing and one thing only, which is to watch for movies where James Spader is sleazy in an entertaining fashion. That's it. That's all I want. And in this movie gets the closest, no question. The cowboy boots. And the shirts and the pig's blood and the weird hair and that whole thing. No question. But as you point out, that's what's doing the sleazy lifting for him. He's badly miscast. His accent's all over the place. I don't think he's not enjoying himself at all. All right. And if Spader's not enjoying it, I'm not enjoying it. And that's how I feel. And I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying I want to watch a film where Spader is sleazy.
Taking that as read, the movie, it's just trying to. There was some fun stuff in the film. There was some weird stuff in the film. There was mad montages and odd music choices and weird hairstyles and mad shirts and weirdly homoerotic scenes and then mad exploitation ending and there was Aunt Faye who was. In every scene, had decided to play it weirdly realistically because she had no role. All she was Uncle Charlie, mad Uncle Charlie's put upon wife, but it felt so very real. She felt so very sad and downtrodden and putting up with her lot in a way that this movie in no way deserved that performance. And yet there she was in every scene she was in, being this perfect eye-rolling, sighing.
But that's what
thing. And it was this interesting little thing. I'm well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the fact that there was the guy gets beaten up and can barely breathe and gets urinated on and everything. And the next minute, we're expected to watch a workout montage for 20 minutes, and it's just a mad change of pace and a complete left turn when you didn't expect it, and all of a sudden it's an action montage, and it was a fun movie that was a roller coaster that was going one way.
Yeah, but I didn't know. But I know. Okay, but I disagree with you. It's okay that you thought it was a fun movie. That's fine, right? But you and I, on occasion, experience movies in different ways,
right? And
you are perfectly capable of enjoying a movie for what is contained in it, right. Especially if it can be appreciated. But wait, if it can be appreciated on its own, taken out of context and appreciated as a silly thing in its own right. You find it very easy not to be, as it were, emotionally engaged in a movie. You can just enjoy it for, this is a movie that I'm watching, and why did they decide to do that sequence, and what's going on with this actor over here, and why would they decide to, like you say, have the aunt play it straight as if this is a melodrama. She's like a character of an Ibsen play. She just keeps being miserable and then walking out of the room. That's all she does.
Yeah.
Right? And that's cool. But I'm saying, right, when I watch a film, I nearly always get emotionally engaged with it in some way, and I don't mean intellectually engaged. I mean generally on a gut level.
I get it.
So for me, this was hey, let's get you to like these two characters, and then we're going to make their lives miserable and shit, and we're going to keep playing that trick all the way through the movie. So I'm saying, for an audience, for someone in the audience like me, watching the film, it was actually quite an unpleasant experience. That's what I'm saying. Like, Spader, to me, signifies a freedom from rules and from expectations and from morals and, you know, and from everything. It's just like, let's bask in the wonder of what it is to be a bit sleazy about everything, right? And it's like, it's fun to watch, whether like Supernova or Dream Lover or whatever. Those were like execrable movies, but they were fun to watch because he was being weirdly. He was like, "Hello, I'm a weirdly sleazy space captain in a film about a monster." What? That's what I want to see. I don't want to. I didn't enjoy watching a film that was, for me, like a Last House on the Left, like exploitation, you know, unpleasant, emotional roller coaster of an experience. All the flowery shirts aside, it wasn't a pleasant experience for me to watch it. So it's difficult for me to engage with you, and I understand why that's frustrating to you, but I can't engage because it was just unpleasant. I just thought it was unpleasant. It wasn't a bad movie, and it was weird, and I was emotionally engaged. I'm not always, you know. Sometimes I don't get that way and whatever. But like, I guess it's to its credit that I was emotionally engaged enough to like kind of find the whole experience a bit unpleasant. And like the ending for me was this deeply troubling.
Well, the ending was deeply troubling. So let's quickly talk about that. So,
all right.
So they have the big shootout at Carnival Corral, right, where they set fire to Spader's head and they decapitate another guy and electrocute another guy and God knows what else, right? Absolute carnage and mayhem. And this is what I mean, like, the movie, like the way it's written, the movie tries to do two things with the ending, right? On one hand, it tries to go like, oh, it's all okay in the end, da-da-da-da, Uncle Charlie survived, and look at him being a carnival barker, telling the macabre story of how, like, all these teenage children were massacred on his property. In his fun park,
in his
right?
children's fun park.
And look how much money Uncle Charlie is raking in on the backs of the deaths of these people. As if their deaths weren't horrific enough, Uncle Charlie is profiting the greasy meatball off the deaths of these people. But we, the audience members, are meant to be like, ho, 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 isn't that wonderful? And then the two, like, kids, when they're asked, you can either go to Arizona or you can stay here, they're like, oh, we want to stay here because of Eric Stoltz, right? Like you said earlier, right? And then, at the very, very end of the film, the little kid who...
surviving younger brother.
So what we didn't mention in the description, but Spader's gang, they all hang out on this like mud patch of a farm with this deranged dog that they've been teaching to have a lust for blood. One of the perpetual annoyances at this place is a little kid who is like clearly one of their younger brothers rather, or a nephew or something, and he's just always hanging around like putting up more milk bottles to shoot, or, you know, saying, why can't I have a toke of a joint, or whatever, like bad lines basically. He's a little grubby shit. And at the very end of the movie, you're meant to go, oh no, we've forgotten about Damien, the evil hillbilly kid. So you think, oh, this world's all wonderful. And then you go, oh, but they hadn't thought about the one surviving kid, which I'm sure they can kill in another grotesque way and just dance on his grave and get on with it. But what was particularly bleak about that was that during the final shootout, as fun as it was and as enjoyable as it was and as ridiculous as it was, and while I said earlier you have to kind of like let go of any logic or reason or reality, it was still like horrific to me that all these people were like being murdered when you could have just called the fucking police and had them rounded up. You know what I mean? So because they're all teenagers, right? So, and they're all carrying guns, and there's loads of witnesses, and Uncle Charlie's got a fucking shotgun shell in his stomach. So, like, it's not like the police can turn up and go, I'm sorry, mate, there isn't any evidence. Like, there's fucking evidence everywhere. So, instead of doing that, they kill them all, and then the filmmakers, before they reveal the little kid, are expected us, the audience, to be like, wasn't that droll about it? Which to me was the bleakest and like meanest thing of it all.
There was a lot of tonal missteps and the whole thing. Like I found Uncle Charlie quite a repellent,
right,
ugly character. This weak, exploitative, like
meatball, greasy meatball,
horrible human being
who took
running
money,
this death trap of a theme park.
who took money,
and
from
essentially he was almost like what I thought when
he took money from his nephew, which he had no intention.
When he showed them into the shed or whatever, I thought, is this because it had like a fairy tale aspect of them being like the children of this famous knight, do you know what I mean? Almost the children of this famous warrior, who then find themselves, basically being,
orphaned,
slave driver of an uncle, forcing them to work in his rickety death trap theme park, living in a shed, full of crap, and you get to go to school with a bunch of fucking psychopaths that want to kill you, like. But for me, like it was like if the journey of the film had been they're dumped there, and the uncle's a nightmare, and the aunt is the Ibsen character, and they're being chased around this town by hillbillies trying to murder them, and then the journey of the film is they survive all that to get out, and move to Arizona and live to tell the tale or whatever. Then that's a journey. But this was like. They're all right, they're down. They're all right, they're down. They're all right, they're fucked. They're all right, they're fucked. And then at the end, they're like, oh, they're all right. Oh no, they're fucked.
Meanwhile, they're giving the loot that their father passed on to them. They gave it their inheritance.
It was like too many genres all over the place, right?
Also,
it's like fairy tale,
also
an
right
action
at
film,
the beginning,
a horror film,
right at the beginning,
a teenage comedy. It was all over the show.
Right at the beginning, Uncle Charlie comes up and goes, "I used to love your dad a lot when we were kids."
Yeah, I thought they haven't spoken in years, have they? I thought he held you in contempt. He could barely bother to pick up the phone because your scams and your schemes were like beyond parody. You know what I mean? And he tried to keep his children as far away from your grubby, pointless fingertips as possible.
And then he gives them all the money.
And then there's part of me that thinks that they knew this and it was almost deliberate because of all there was so much of them being abandoned.
But that's what I mean.
Place.
So it's this weird, like, dark exploitation film, but made initially, certainly for the first two acts of the movie, made as if it was a early Brat Pack, montage-filled 80s comedy or sports comedy.
Yeah,
or whatever.
It didn't work.
So, which worked for me.
And that's all I was saying at the beginning of the movie was they tried something different and they tried to make a genre picture.
Yeah.
But that's why they had the kid at the end. It was like, if we can keep bringing money out of the, all American kids get tortured in a fairground in a dumpy town down south.
There's two sequels though. There's two sequel possibilities. There's the little kid wreaks his revenge, or they go to Arizona and oops, they're the new kids again. And
yeah, I guess so. Yeah, but either way, like it could be a thing. But they tried it and it didn't work. And it didn't work because I don't think.
So let's wrap it up.
All right.
The guy who played the brother.
Yeah.
This was his last feature film. He only did 7 acting roles.
The brother? What brother?
The brother, the main part. Basically the main part.
Oh, him?
The one who was having it away with the sheriff's daughter.
Okay.
Right? The one who tried to attempt to nail up 2 bits of wood at a time at a right angle.
Yeah, that was lame.
Because I'm like, you physically can't do that, mate. Just nail up 1 bit and then nail up the second bit.
It wasn't that. It's just like, you don't put 2 bits of wood next to a bit of metal and then bang a hammer on it and then expect this guy who's doing that is repairing the whole fairground.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the death trap that fairground is?
Yeah.
It's it just sticks together, doesn't it?
He was distracted by her large 80s bosom, the tight yellow shirt.
Anyway, so you were saying he only made 7 movies.
Yeah, and
after this one, I'm not surprised.
He went on to be. He was alright in this.
He was fine.
He went on to be the Attorney General of Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, he went on to be the Attorney General of Los Angeles, this actor.
Well, I think he probably took one look at this movie and went, there's got to be more to life than this.
Yeah.
You know what I need? I need certainty. I need right and I need wrong, because this movie is freaking me out.
Right.
I'm going to go to law school and I'm going to be the district attorney.
All right, so quickly then, in 5 minutes, what did Spader take from this film for his underground sleazatorium? Definitely the Sunday service thing. If that wasn't his already, that might have actually come out of the sleazatorium.
What could he have taken? I mean, there was a lot to do. The flowery cowboy boots, I think.
Yeah. I was upset Eric Stoltz wasn't more in it.
what was going on with Eric Stoltz looked like a... He had a haircut of a housewife in the 1960s, right? It was like a 1960s housewife.
I thought he
haircut.
looked a bit like an Oasis fan from 1992.
Yeah, well, potato, I suppose. Right?
But anyway, I just wanted the Stoltz-Spader face-off that never came.
Yeah, I was hoping there'd be a bit more of
Stoltzy. Stoltzy.
I don't know. I think
we should definitely do a series of Eric Stoltz movies after this.
God no.
Brooding intent. See, Eric Stoltz does a thing where when a movie does not require brooding intensity, he does it anyway. that's like Stoltz stock.
That's why he got fired from Back to the Future, because they go, up, Eric, up. It's supposed to be jolly.
And he's like, I thought maybe I would do this as if I was a twisted duck.
Yeah, but I found myself out of time with my parents vanishing before my eyes and my very existence in doubt. Why wouldn't I be broodingly intense about this? Come on, Eric. I don't know. I don't know. I think if I had to,
he took the Sunday service thing, or it was his originally. He took those tiny blue pants. Oh, this is a bit weird. He took the tiny blue pants, but he made Lori Loughlin try them on first, and he hadn't washed them since that scene.
That's a bit weird.
No, but I think that's what he did. And then he took them, and then he has them on the wall, and when people are shown around the Sleazeatorium, he stops and in a very slow monotone tells that story.
It's possible.
It's like, this was a sequence where all I wore were these tiny pants, and I was very hot that night. And then I made Lori Loughlin wear them. And then I've taken them and I've hung them on my wall.
I think the cowboy boots. Just because it was so weird.
Yeah.
It was such a weird choice.
Well, what was really weird about it is he's meant to be playing a hillbilly, and not only does his wardrobe come out of the big Gay Boys Cowboy Review show from, Pensacola or somewhere, right? And I don't mean that as a derogatory term. I just mean that they were very effeminate, and they were like costume clothing that you would wear. No, hang on a second. If you were a cowboy like if you were strippers, but your thing was that you dressed like effeminate cowboys in a gay club, that this is where Spader got his wardrobe from.
Well, what I'm wondering is,
why did he bleach blonde his hair? That's got to be the furthest away from a hillbilly, someone who bleached blonde.
So this is what I'm wondering. I'm wondering whether you're Cunningham or whatever, and you want this movie to play all over the country, right? You don't want to basically stigmatise half of the country by going, so this is what you're all like down south, right? You're all psychopathic hillbilly murderers who bathe in pig's blood and try and fuck anybody that you haven't seen before, right? And rather than make it just that, if you get those guys, because that's your movie, but you, in charge of them, you put because this is 80s, right? Early 80s. So like a stereotypical, hippie almost from the 70s. So like an East Coast hippie. He's got bleached blonde hair, flowery shirt.
West Coast
hippie. Like flowery shirts, bleached blonde hair, sunglasses, smokes pot. He looks almost like a beach boy, you know what I mean?
Right.
But he's actually the biggest psychopath.
If a beach boy was wanted
for sex crimes with a chicken. Yes, I agree. Right? But
with a vole.
What I'm saying is, if you do that, then it's like, hey, it's not just Southerners. It's like, the Southern crowd can hate this guy because he's like a West Coast right-on hippie. You know what I mean? Like that kind of thing. That's the only thing that makes any sense to me.
Right.
That they didn't want to make it about the South is full of nightmares.
I like to believe that Spader came dressed in that outfit
and refused to take it off. If he'd read the script, he might go, I can't act in it. This accent, I can't do it. And so in order to express his inner sleaze, his essential...
But what's crazy about it is that his gang are all what you would expect.
Yeah.
Stubbly, gobby, dribbly meathead.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why that's why they made him the lead.
Yeah.
And I think they get away with it with the whole drug dealer thing. But I think it's about putting like a West Coast hippie in charge of them, so you're not making it about a North v South thing.
Maybe.
I don't think it makes any sense to me. It might not be
But
true.
he's doing a southern accent.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to be.
No, he really doesn't want to
He
be.
fought pretty hard against that.
Well,
And I'm not sure you could argue that what he's doing is a southern accent.
ladies and germs. Does he have a tattooed on his arm, on his shin, calf, rather?
I don't know, mate.
He has a Lego brick tattooed on his calf.
What's wrong with people, right?
Like, I get it, but like, if it was a Lego man, I kind of understand that. A single Lego brick.
I don't get why you would want to fucking you live in Brooklyn, alright? That's why there's a guy with a Lego brick tattoo on his car, because you live in Brooklyn.
Okay, so I have to dissect this very quickly and then I'll let you go home.
Okay.
Why a Lego brick and why in a place where you can't see it? Like, I just don't understand that. Like, if he had tattoos all over his body, he might just go, look, all I got left is my calf, I'll just do it. But it looked like his only tattoo. And it was of a Lego brick. And not even a particular, like a dark blue one, so you couldn't really quite tell what it was.
I think the thing, let me put it this way then. I think the best answer to that question is, I think the way you could annoy that guy the most is if you said to him, oh, I've seen that. A friend of mine back in England, he had one. It was, it was pretty cool. Actually, he got it because he saw somebody, like a whole bunch of people in, I think it was Germany, Nuremberg. That's what it was, Nuremberg. It was a big fashion in Nuremberg where everybody had to have like a single blue. It's something to do with, I don't know, World War II or Germany or something. I forget what it is. But all I know is I have seen it a whole lot of people. Actually, come to think of it, everybody who I've ever seen with that tattoo was a bit of an unlikable fraud. But I know you're not. I know you're not, mate. I would just say, the thing that would annoy that bloke the most is you said to him, I've seen that before, I've seen that somewhere else. Because that's where you get a purple Lego brick tattooed in the back of your car because you're like, I am unstoppably individual. You know what I mean? I'm so individual, they should lock me up for excessive individuality.
See, I think it's more, I'm hardcore, but I'm not that hardcore.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a good illustration of that line.
All right, so.
Well, I'm sorry I disappointed you.
It's fine, we got over it. We talked about most of the things that I wanted to talk about.
I know we did.
I would, yeah, it's one of the
You
few...
just got to remember that you and I do not watch films the same way. Although we often have good talks about the film afterwards, we experience them in very different ways.
I urge you,
And
right?
especially with like old, slightly kind of campy, weird films, we don't experience them
Well, we
in the same way.
enjoyed the Fatal Games one, the slasher that was set around the kids
Yeah, but that
going
was
off the Olympics.
appallingly bad, and it drove me to distraction that nobody got killed with a javelin in a fucking film about javelins. It was like, what are you doing?
It's almost like in this movie, no one got killed with a cowboy boot.
Yeah. Yeah, nobody got killed by like a falling Santa, or there were no Christmas jokes in it at all.
Why was it Christmas themed?
I've got no idea. I've no idea. Honestly, I've got to explain.
This is the one, like, it's funny. If Sean S Cunningham gets interviewed, 9 times out of 10 it's to be about Friday the 13th. I'd want to ask him about this film and just be like, Sean, mate, what were you thinking?
At what point did you realise that Spader's accent was killing your movie? Because it murders the film, I think.
I don't know. I think at that point he'd only really been in one other movie anyone had ever seen, and maybe only 2 other movies that. This is about his 4th or 5th movie, but it's only about the first movie that anyone remembers him in, apart from Tough Turf. So I've got a feeling like Sean doesn't know. Like, we're watching it with hindsight. Sean at the time is just like, well, I guess this is the guy I'm lumping with.
Yeah, well, that's a possibility. Well, I think we should go with the storyteller next week, because I think whatever the fuck it's called, Storyville, because that might be good. That looks like he might be a bit sleazy.
But I'm asking you, watch the trailer that I posted in the group where he's having it away with a French bird.
Oh, have we got any more questions? Or is that it for the
No, that
questions?
was it.
Okay.
And listen to the voiceover on the trailer. It is, I mean,
All right.
seriously, it is beyond belief.
All right.
Well, that was fun.
Thanks for having me.
I enjoyed that.
It all worked out in the end.
Sort of.
Flew in on a plane of flamingo.
Sort of.
Waiting for his
water
wings to hit the ground. Trundled home in a limo.
Bought up.
Rushing on the endless run from the court of gods whose adventures
Never
ever hang around.
Yeah, but there's something in the rainy day
smile, that girl of mine.
Tiny lines on lips that read
everything's fine,
more or less.
And I guess
right now
anything's worth trying. Post our throw us in the ground or burn us. Nice to see so many turn up. The barbershop trio sang a lovely melody. I hope we're not awake when they turn on the furnace. I wonder what a diamond teeth will earn us. I suppose it's something else that we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, but there's something in a rainy day smile, that girl of mine.
Tiny lines on lips that read
everything's fine, more or less. And I guess
right now
everything's worth trying.